4 games since Kevin Durant sprained his right MCL. Brooklyn has lost all 4. Ben Simmons was ejected in the 3rd quarter, and Kyrie Irving scored 21 of his 30 in the 4th in a loss last night to a Suns team that was playing without Chris Paul and without Devin Booker. During this 4-game stretch, the Nets have had issues on the offensive end, and that is to say the least. They've been just terrible. They've been bad in pick-and-roll offense. They were averaging the bottom rate in the league in points per 100 possessions. So, Stephen A., the question is how does this team avoid falling off a cliff until KD gets back?
Prayer. And a whole lot of it. The fact of the matter is you have a star in Kyrie Irving who dissipates when KD is gone because people key on him and he's a miniature-sized dude and there's a lot to ask him to do, okay? You would like him to do better than he's done during this 4-game losing streak, but nevertheless, there's still a lot to ask on his shoulders. You see in other guys that were supposed to be shooting the ball effectively, you're not getting that. Obviously, Claxton is a tall man, but he's not a big man, so that girth that you need on your front line is still absent where he's concerned. He does the best that he can. He gives you activity. Ben Simmons, it's a sad situation. And I don't mean this literally, because obviously he's not doing it, but one would say he is stealing money. Let's call it what it is, y'all. Ben Simmons got ejected last night on purpose. He didn't want to play. And that's just me talking. I don't know what anybody else does. I'm going to say it. He didn't want to play. That brother wanted to get the hell up out of there. He didn't want to be there. He's getting $35 million this year, $37 million next year, $40 million in his last year. And somehow, some way, no one ever brings this up about him. They bring up the mental issues. They bring up the heart issues. They bring up whatever emotional issues that he claims to have. They're not bringing up the fact that he's not so sad that he fails to cash the check that equals $35 million. Now, the brother is not that sad, and he's not that gone. It's a sad situation. Prayer is the answer.
Like it's coming from a person who picked Brooklyn to win.
That's right. That's exactly what it is.
Wilbon
got me. Kalen got me. They're absolutely correct. They're absolutely correct.
Can they tread water? We talked last week about how they went 5-16 without KD last year. It started so far worse than that.
Greeny, I thought they could, but it doesn't look like they can. The answer to the question of how do they not crater is to have Kevin Durant walk through that door.
Yeah.
Except he's not walking through that door. Not yet. It's not time. And I believe, just like last year and the year before, that when he ultimately walks through, it's too late. There are other teams that are playing every night, as much as you can get a whole team's worth of guys on the floor every night. So, no, I'm surprised. I mean, Brooklyn last night, that was a winnable game. Kyrie had 21 points in the 4th quarter, and they shot 52% as a team. That's a game you think against the Suns, who are missing their 2 all-stars, that they're going to win. And now they got Utah tonight. I don't think they're going to beat the Jazz in Utah tonight. You know, and the stats sort of bear that out. And then when you get to at Warriors, at 76ers without Kevin Durant,
you look at that schedule, not that easy to find wins. Jalen, they could get buried here.
Well, I didn't think that they would be successful without KD, and they're validating it by their play. Because when I look at the Nets, I ask myself, who's their leader? Who's going to be the person that holds them accountable on the floor? I don't see that. Kyrie is a dynamic offensive player, but he's not the kind of talent that's going to galvanize the people around them and or make them better. But I'm with Stephen A. on this. Ben Simmons is stealing money. Ski mask and gloves, as a matter of fact. And let me get some stats for you, Stephen A.
Please.
He has 119 fouls, 113 baskets this year.
Wow.
Only 2 of them outside of the paint, and he's shooting 43% from the free throw line. That's a guy they traded for James Harden, who, by the way, is averaging 20 and 10 and fitting in like a glove in Philadelphia. And so if you can't get Ben Simmons to play at an all-star level, the Nets can't float without KD.
Listen.
Now, let's not ignore who they was playing, though.
I understand.
The Suns got a lot of injuries. Just because you're not without your best player, that don't mean go winless. I'm very disturbed by what I see. They're going to be so low in the standings, it's going to put them in position to get bounced again in the first round.
I don't know about that, because let's say this. I'm looking at this schedule here, in fairness to y'all. I got the schedule in front of me. Y'all may not. I'm looking at the next 7 games. Utah, I'm on the road. Utah, Golden State, Philadelphia.
3
At
losses
home,
right there.
that's 3 losses right there. At home, Detroit, Knicks, Lakers. Then on the road against Boston. I expect the Brooklyn Nets to go 1-6 over their next 7 games. That would make their record 1-10 over the 11-game span that KD was predicted to be out for at least that amount of games. That still leaves them at 28-23. If that happens, which means they'd still have a chance not to fall off the cliff.
Can we circle back to what we saw there a moment ago? Because you brought up James Harden. That feels like a piece of this conversation.
Yes.
Is the fact that they will forever be the guys that were traded for each other. And we wondered, how will Harden fit? How will the chemistry? There have been some ups and downs with that. But we just look at the Michael Wilbon. I mean, look at the numbers.
Man.
Harden is playing great in Philly, and right now they look more dangerous than the Nets.
Harden had 14 assists last night.
Yeah.
I think he only took 11 shots. So once again, this speaks to the one thing I liked about this is that James Harden, at this point of his career, adapts, right? He morphs. He seems to understand, okay, here's what we need me to do.
Because he is the playmaker. And at the end of the day, those guys, all that I just said, they're all playmakers.
They're all playmakers.
And so when you get that playmaker at that bigs position, boy, that puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
And I want to address Perk for a second.
Of course you
to say, of course, to say that it wasn't Kyrie. No. It was the Brooklyn Nets that were doing that stretch when Kyrie came back. Because this is why it wasn't just Kevin Durant. Now, Kevin Durant is the best player, one of the best players in the world. I'm not disputing that. But there's 2 points here. When you look at Kyrie's crunch time minutes, when you look at Kyrie's entire crunch time information, he is one of the top guys in the league. They got, the Jerry West Award that's coming out? He's one of the people that is a top 3 candidate. If you look at his stats in the fourth quarter, in crunch time, he's one of the best. So that means when the Nets got to late games, who was hitting the game winner? I think it was in Toronto, hit that big game, hits that 3-pointer to win the game. So it was a collective unit. Now you take the biggest piece, Kevin Durant, out of that collective unit, and yes, teams will struggle. You take LeBron James, you see the Lakers struggling without Anthony Davis. You go and look around this entire league, Giannis, you look at, if you have the best, one of the top 3 players in the world, you take him out of the roster. Where I will disagree with you, they weren't just winning because of Kevin Durant. Collectively, they were one of the best teams in the league as a unit. Kyrie was killing people in the fourth quarter. The numbers say that, the record says that, all of that says that. So it wasn't just Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant allowed him the space to go to work, but he was doing that work also.
Bro, Kevin Durant was getting triple doubles.
Agreed.
And why Kyrie Irving was able to rock out in the late game moments because they was using Kevin Durant as a decoy.
But you still gotta do it.
That's my point exactly. Without another superstar on the floor, when you can't use Kevin Durant as a decoy, can you go do and deliver in the same fashion? That's my point.
Now, this is great. It's a great point, and that's what we're going to find out from Kyrie.
But at the end of the day, the Nets' next 2 games, they face the Warriors in Golden State. We just got finished speaking about how Golden State struggles on the road, but at home, they're still pretty good. The 76ers, they face in Philadelphia. This is a tough schedule they have coming up, all without Kevin Durant. So, Zach, how do you see this going?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk over there in the studio. I want to go back to the 7-course meal with the lemon pepper wings that Perk was serving up or whatever, because we're sitting here debating all this stuff. And what we're really talking about is before the season, when Kevin Durant explained why he had once requested a trade from the Nets, he talked about when he was injured last year and he sat back and watched a team that could not win without him, that lost 10 or 11 games in a row without him. How about you just win a game? Like we're talking about what's your record here, what's your record there. Here's the record. 0-4, 0-0. That's the record. Kyrie Irving, people think he should be in the All-Star team. Ben Simmons has made All-Star teams before. Nick Claxton has an All-Star case. You want me to start listing the players the Phoenix Suns were missing last night when they blew the doors off Brooklyn for the first 3 quarters of the game? Were you going to play that game? Start winning, I don't know, 40% of your games without Kevin Durant. If you're a serious team, you can win 35 or 40% of your games even without a Kevin Durant. With the talent that I just said, win 1 out of every 3 games. That's all. Right now, that 0 is looming large. You saw their next 3 games. If they're 0-7 without Kevin Durant, when we wake up next week, the noise is going to get louder and louder. They need to start putting some wins together just here and there. That's all we're asking for. That's all Perk wants.
Damn, I love Zach on Fridays.
Friday, Zach, is always